It's so weird because if I go this way, it goes this way. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to another live flow with Mystic Fitness. Happy Sunday. It is beautiful outside. I think this is like the best kind of day when you wake up and it's still a little, not nippy, but it has a little cool breeze, but the sun is shining. You know, it's going to be a hot day. I love that. Good morning, Karina. Thank you for joining us this morning. And Instagram, we have Suzanne watching this morning. Thanks, Suzanne. You're our biggest Instagram follower, our biggest Instagram supporter. So thank you. Hope you and your family are doing well. So, just a couple of quick announcements, you guys. We are still running the Mystic Fitness Venmo account. If you feel inclined to make even a small donation, goes such a long way. And like Amy talked about yesterday, we're trying to position ourselves so that we can survive throughout the next couple months. There's a lot of unknowns that are going to happen, and we just want to make sure that we're in a position where we can keep Mystic open to the community as long as possible. So thank you for all of the past donations and future donations. If you do make a donation, you're going to get one of those beautiful handmade masks from Mary Beth. She has been such a huge helper for Mystic. Of course, she's a teacher here as well. And Karina just donated. I know we have a little notification. It's like a little ka-ching. So we heard the ka-ching. We got very excited. Thank you, Karina. And if you guys already have masks, they are reusable. So if you have a family member that needs one, you can make a donation for a good cause and also get a mask. So it's kind of like two in one. Additionally, we come live to you guys every morning on Facebook and Instagram at 9 a.m. And then later in the day, we post all of this content to our YouTube channel, Mystic Fitness YouTube. So that's another great way to get your family members who maybe don't use Facebook or Instagram, don't really like the whole social media thing. Send them our YouTube link and they can access all of the content without having any sort of profile on there. Let me think about any other things I have to say. Good morning, Caitlin. How are you? So I just wanted to say thank you guys because I love seeing all of your good mornings. I love seeing the support that you guys show to us. Every morning I wake up and I come here and it just keeps me on my schedule, and I'm so happy to kind of connect with you guys in this way. So thank you guys. We have Debamitra here this morning. She's going to be my main demonstrator. But you know what? I'm feeling a little tight. I'm feeling a little envious of Debamitra on the mat. So I'm probably going to hop over next to her over here and do some movements as well with you guys. So I hope that's all right with you. Am I missing anything? I think we hit it all. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. You can find your way onto your mat. If you want to find a seated position or laying down, whatever feels best for your body. Usually for me that means laying down, taking a little break. Just let a big wave of breath come over you. Find a nice inhale and exhale. Just let yourself kind of start to sink here. Connect to that breath. Imagine that each inhale is kind of energetically opening you up to this present moment. And each exhale is this kind of surrendering, dropping down into the earth. I'd like for you to imagine in your mind's eye your own little oasis. And what does that look like to you? Is it maybe a area like a valley, or maybe a little creek surrounded by big pine trees? Perhaps perched on the beach in the warm sun and sand, hearing the waves crash. Maybe your favorite reading corner in your house. Just anything that gives you this sense of peace. Make this location be yours. Your little sanctuary that no one can enter. Notice the sensations and emotions that arise. A feeling of this peaceful, happy spot. Take 5 more intentional breaths in this location. And on your next inhale, slowly start to just kind of reawaken through the fingers and toes. Letting your awareness kind of trickle back into your physical body. If you're not already laying down, let's go ahead and lay down. I'm feeling inspired by Deba this morning. So go ahead and make your way onto your backs. Take a full body stretch. So reach the arms and legs away from one another. Take a big stretch. Maybe some gentle kind of rocking of the fingers from side to side. Rolling at the wrists and ankles here, opening and closing the hands, kind of wiggling the fingers. Just kind of making some movements here. Pulling the knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a big ol' squeeze. Perhaps a little gentle sway from side to side. And you'll notice that there's 2 big muscles on the side of your spine, and you're kind of massaging those muscles next to the spine as you rock from side to side. Bringing the hands on the knees and then just creating some big circles, letting the knees come away from the chest and back in. And eventually, when the body is ready, taking that in the opposite direction, but no rush to go one way or the other. And of course, if we're ever doing something where you feel uneven on one side, you can always go back to the other side, revisit that. Beautiful. Letting the feet drop to the ground with the knees stacked up towards the sky, arms alongside of you. We're going to find some rolling bridges here. So the first part of our rolling bridge is just finding that pelvic tilt. So kind of starting to pick the hips up and kind of point your pelvis towards the knees. And then as you continue to inhale, you'll slowly start to rise to your degree. Exhale, slowly softening back down. So the first couple rolling bridges, inhale, you'll rise maybe just a little bit, and exhale, lower. Eventually these movements will become a little bit more lifted. Inhale, reaching that pelvis up, pressing with the heels. Exhale, slowly soften. So it's almost like this rolling effect, almost like a big wave kind of coming up and then slowly crashing down the same way it got it. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, rise, and exhale, soften. 2 more here. Feel that unwinding through the lower connective tissue of the vertebra. We're also kind of utilizing some hamstring strength here as we press the heels into the ground. Beautiful. Slowly land your way down into the earth and then walk the feet toward the outer edges of your mat. Start to rock the knees from left to right here. So now we're getting some gentle twisting through the spine. If you prefer to open your arms up into a T and maybe start to gaze in the opposite rotation of the knees, that can feel really nice on the neck here. Just find these movements. This is a very low impact way to kind of start the opening process through the twisting of the spine. So the spine moves in many different ways. So we have the arch and the curl, which we just took on those rolling bridges. Those are 2 motions. Then we have left to right, so twisting. Those are 2 more motions, right? And then we have our side bend, so 2 more motions. So 6 movements of the spine. Beautiful. Eventually pulling those knees back into the chest. Give them one more big squeeze here. And either rocking into a fetal position or rocking and rolling like a rocking chair to pick yourself back up into your seat. Now in your seat, we'll take a moment to just place your hands over your heart. Allow your eyes to close. Maybe repicturing that little safe oasis of yours. Perhaps now it looks like something totally different. We'll begin our practice with the single sound of Om, starting with a cleansing breath to prepare. Inhale and exhale. And for Om, in. Have a beautiful practice, everyone. Let's go ahead and transition into our table pose. Go ahead and allow your wrists to stack below the shoulders, knees below the hips. Let's find some cat and cows here. So I'm going to join you here. With the inhale, we're dropping the chest, gazing forward. And with the exhale, we're curling and rounding as we press the floor away. Inhale, arch and open. Exhale, curl and round. So this is very reminiscent of those movements that we took with our rolling bridges. But now we're allowing the chest and upper back to become a little bit more involved. So make this as dramatic as you like. Really can get your neck involved as you tuck the chin and press the floor away. And then as you arch, kind of gaze up towards the sky. And these are all natural movements for the spine, so it's very fundamental to take some arches and curls within your class. Now the spine is already pretty warmed up, so you might want to start turning this a little bit more organic, dropping the hips to one side and the other. Maybe taking some full rotations of that pelvic bowl. I think it was Kelly Spencer once that said in her class, like you're spreading jelly on toast. And I love a good food metaphor for our yoga class. So just imagine yourself kind of just like melting all over your mat to one side and then to the other. And let your body kind of guide you to when you should start the rotations in the opposite direction. So let that be your guide. Tune into that dialogue that happens between breath and sensation. Eventually, once you feel even on both sides, sinking back into a child's pose for a couple breaths here, just finding this kind of humbling, bowing down to the earth is a really beautiful, almost like a detour through your class. Putting the bookmark in your book for a moment, setting it down, taking a break, reconnecting to what's truly important, and definitely reconnecting to that breath as well. Take a big inhale and exhale. Slowly starting to return back into your table pose. Finding a flat back, and we're going to get a little funky here. So you guys know me and Deba don't plan our classes beforehand, so we're going to do this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rotating my right foot out towards the right and spin open to a side plank. Yep. So that left leg is, so we're actually going, Deba, like this. So rotating the right foot out to the right, like with the knee on the ground, and then opening up, so the left leg. Beautiful. So Deba is on her right knee, and then she has her back left foot to the bottom of her mat. From here, just start to take some nice big sweeping circles through that left arm. So not only are we now getting into some of the connective tissue of the shoulder, chest, and upper back, but we're also finding a beautiful side stretch from the left foot all the way to left fingertips. Take those rotations in the opposite direction. And then we'll finish off by letting those left fingertips come overhead so that you're finding this beautiful side stretch. Press those hips a little forward. Beautiful. With the exhale, turning back into our table pose. So let that left knee plant back down. We'll take that to the other side. So this time the left foot rotates out to the left and you open up to the side plank. Beautiful. Taking some big sweeping circles through that right arm this time. So now you guys can see Deb's position from the back, so you can see where her left foot has landed. You can take that in the opposite rotation here. So just let those circles come really naturally to you. Big sweeps. And we'll round this all off with that beautiful side bend. The right fingertips reach up overhead. Find that opening from the fingertips all the way down to the right foot. And then return back into your table pose when you're ready. Take a couple arches and curls here. Any little movements you need. And then we'll activate our core really quick before finding our first downward facing dog. So this is one of my favorite ways to do this. So spread the fingers wide into the earth, almost like you're a little tree frog, kind of pressing your hands into the earth. Flatten the back, tuck the toes under, and lift the knees to just a hover. So what we're doing here is we're pulling the core in, almost like this corset-like effect, hugging you in through the center line of your body, but allowing breath to be natural. So it's a pulling inward, but we're not constricting our lungs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release to the ground and then smack the shoelace sides of the feet to the earth. Me and Deb are going to start a little rhythm here. Beautiful. Let's do that one more time. This time we'll hold for 5 seconds and immediately turn this into our downward facing dog. Flat back, tuck the toes, knees lift to a hover. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips pull up and back, downward facing dog. Start to pedal your feet here. So presumably this is your first downward facing dog of the day. So make sure you're gentle with yourself. Make sure the distance between feet and hands is wide or small enough that suits your stance. So the closer the feet and hands are together, the more of a hamstring stretch you're going to get. The farther the feet are to the back of your mat away from your hands, you're going to get more of a spinal decompression and stretch. So play around with both of those. See which one feels best for you. And just because you do something one way for a long time doesn't mean that you can't explore another alternative way of moving. In fact, it's when you're going to find the most growth and strength when you switch it up a little bit on yourself. And every morning is different, right? Some mornings we feel fired up. Some mornings we need a little bit more restoration. Beautiful. From here, with the inhale, reach right leg up to the sky. And then open and bend the knee, kind of opening and closing the hip here. Just kind of playing around with some movement through that right leg. Maybe even bending the knee and taking some kind of circles with that knee. Or even lengthening the right leg and finding some circles with that right leg. Eventually, right leg sweeps back up to the sky. And with the exhale, curl knee into the chest. Inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, knee to chest. Stepping to your runner's lunge. So right foot plants next to right. We're going to drop down onto the left knee. And we're going to start to take some back and forth presses here. Beautiful. So we're getting into the hamstring a little bit. We're also stretching through left hip flexor as we press the hips forward. So just take some movements here. Blocks underneath the hands as well can always be a tool that you can utilize for yourself. Beautiful. Eventually coming back to a proper runner's lunge. So hands plant, tuck the left toes under, lift the left knee up. Find a block with left hand. So just allow those left fingertips to kind of press onto your block or whatever prop you're using. We're going to take a twist open to the right so that right arm reaches up for the sky in this runner's lunge twist. Now what's very important in this runner's lunge twist is that you're pressing firmly down with that right foot, and you're trying to do that so that the left hip doesn't start to twist with you. We want that twist to be coming from the left rib cage, rotating over towards the right. Here's your last breath. Coming back to center, hands plant. Let's step that right foot up and back, three-leg dog. Bend the knee, open your hip, drop the right heel over towards left glute area. Try to reach that knee up towards the sky. Even weight distributed through both hands. Inhale, right leg reaches back up, square the hips, and with the exhale, land back into your downward facing dog. Nicely done. Let's take that to the other side. Inhale, left leg sweeps up, and then bend and extend that left leg a couple times, perhaps opening and closing the hip. Even some circles throughout that left knee or with the leg lengthened. Just getting some gentle movements here. Eventually, lengthen left leg, square the hips. Exhale, left knee to the chest. Inhale, sweep it up and back. And exhale, left knee to chest. Step to your runner's lunge. Start by dropping that right knee to the ground and finding those delicious back and forth presses. Once again, hands can always be on pull blocks here as well. And this should feel really nice through the left hip, hamstring as you press back and the right hip flexor as you press forward. Taking one or so more. Use that breath. I love to hear it. And then we'll return back to our proper runner's lunge. So bend in that left knee once again. Tuck right toes under. Lift right knee up so that you're back in your runner's lunge. Feet need to be pretty hip distance apart here. Right fingertips onto your block. Left arm sweeps open for your twist. Again, press even more into that left foot. Just when you think you can't press anymore, give it one more ounce of a press. We're rotating the right rib cage over towards the left. Try to keep the hips stacked in one line. Last breath here. Inhale. And with the exhale, start to come back to your runner's lunge. Hands plant, left leg reaches up and back, three-leg dog. Open your hip by bending the knee, dropping left heel over towards the right side of the room. We want to make sure that we're reaching up through left knee, and we're making sure even weight is distributed through both hands and shoulders. Inhale, square the hip, lengthen that left leg. Exhale, return to your downward facing dog. Pedal it out a little bit here. And then we're going to find some back and forth presses. So with the inhale, we're dropping the knees to a hover. This is your bent knee dog. Gaze forward. With the exhale, launching to your plank pose, but making sure those shoulders don't go past the wrists. Inhale is a slow and controlled, peeling your hips up and back, bent knee dog. Exhale, plank pose. Inhale, bent knee dog, pull the belly in. Exhale, plank. 5, 4. So we want to stay nice and controlled here. 3, don't lose it. Keep that momentum, keep that strength. 2. It's sweaty in here now. All right, this time as we get into our plank holds here, we're going to take our first version of chaturanga. So let's drop those knees to the ground. Keep that core engaged. Inhale. With the exhale, slowly lower all the way down with the elbows pointing towards the back of the room. As you land, engage the shoelace sides of the feet into the earth. Start to peel that chest up with the chin gently tucked. Shoulders pull towards one another. And exhale, release. Let's find one more low cobra here. Inhale, press up. And exhale, release. Making your way back to your downward facing dog, perhaps visiting a table along the way. This time we'll find a full sun salutation. So inhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Exhale, walk or hop to the front of your mat, forward folds. Inhale for your halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Let's hold here for a moment. Take a deep bend in the knees. Perhaps grab onto opposite elbow. Shake the head, yes and no. Just give yourself a moment in this forward fold. Perhaps even opening and closing the jaw to release all those tiny little muscles in the face. So I can speak for myself. I always tend to clench my jaw when I'm holding on to tension. All right, inhale for your halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arm circle, sweep up. And exhale, hands to heart. Ground down here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale, arm circle, sweep up. And exhale, hinging from the hips, forward folds. In for a halfway lift. And out, hands plant, stepping back to your plank pose. Now choosing here if you want to keep those knees lifted or place them on the ground. We're going to find our second version of chaturanga. Inhale. With the exhale, slowly lower with the elbows pointing back. Inhale, peel open for an upward facing dog. Now in this upward facing dog, squeeze the glutes and thighs, keep the hips lifted. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nicely done. Take it in and let it go. Inhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Exhale, walk or hop to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, arm circle, sweep up. And exhale, hands to heart. Ground down here, breathe in and out. All right. Let's take the weight and place it into the right foot. So what I want you to start with is flare those right toes and then press them back down onto the earth. Notice how now that foot is fully activated. Bring the left knee up towards the chest and give it a squeeze by interlacing the fingertips on left shin. I always like to get a little ankle roll here. We're opportunistic. We want to make sure that we get every single movement we can out of each pose. Beautiful. From here, bring the hands to your heart. Keep that left knee lifted. With the exhale, start to hinge back to a warrior 3 variation. Holds for the inhale. With your exhale, land to your crescent lunge. The left toes plant towards the back of your mat. Inhale, arms reach up. With the exhale, dip down as the elbows come towards the rib cage. Now, as we inhale and rise, we're going to start to bring the weight back into right foot. Pull left knee up towards the chest, hand to the heart. Inhale here. Exhale, kick left foot back. Hold for the inhale. Exhale, crescent lunge. Inhale, arms and legs extend. Exhale, dip. Inhale, left knee pulls back in towards the chest. Inhale. Exhale, hinge, warrior 3, hold for 1. Exhale, crescent lunge. Let's take one more here. Inhale, rise. Exhale, dip. Inhale, left knee to chest. Exhale, warrior 3. Let's hold in our warrior 3 this time. That left leg is extended towards the back of the room. Maybe the arms start to reach back with the palms facing down. Flex that left foot. Keep the hips level. Chest peels open just a touch. Exhale to that beautiful crescent lunge. Arms reach up. Maybe the gaze follows. Breathe in. And with the exhale, dial left heel down. Open up to your warrior 2. Setting up in your warrior 2 here, making sure that the right toes are facing towards the front of the mat, whereas the back edge of the left foot faces towards the back of your mat and kind of presses away. So a lot of times we spend so much thought on that front right leg, but I want you guys to bring a little attention in that back leg as well. This rounds this pose out and really kind of locks you into this posture. Flipping right palm, inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, extend your warrior. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, extend. Last one. Returning back to your warrior two. And I want to make sure that you guys have a block about 6 inches in front of the right toes while we take a little pit stop here. Eventually, we'll be taking a balancing posture where we're going to utilize that right block. From here, let's inhale, reverse the warrior. And with the exhale, find your extended side angle for a moment. So we're hinging that weight forward. Bring the right fingers on top of the shin and then lengthen through that right leg. So now we're finding our triangle posture. Now Deb has a beautiful triangle pose. Notice how she has a slight bend in that right knee still to protect her knee joint. That's very important in this pose. She's not sacrificing by sending her hips back so she can reach the bottom. She's engaging through her abdominal muscles and tucking the pelvis underneath here. Here's your last breath here. Really feel the core work that this pose is. Beautiful. Coming back to your warrior two, re-bend through that right knee. This time we're going to find our balancing half moon. So in order to do that, we're going to bring our sight onto the block in front of right foot and start to bring the right fingertips onto your block as you lift left leg up to the sky. So this is your balancing half moon pose. You're using that block as a little shelf to support yourself, but you're not dumping all of your weight on there. Beautiful adjustment with that flexing of the left foot. This locks up that left leg completely, so even that glute is working. Find 2 more breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Try to keep the shoulders and hips open towards the side. And for your dismount, land all the way back down into a wide-legged position. So both toes turn towards the front, or I guess to the side rather. Inhale, open your chest up. And with the exhale, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Now from here, you'll be here for a couple breaths, so I'd like you guys to just explore some very gentle movement, rocking of the head, yes and no. Maybe shifting the hips to the right and then shifting the hips over to the left. Perhaps grabbing onto the ankles and kind of hinging your chest down. Whatever feels really delicious for you within this moment. And I find these forward folds, when we kind of sandwich them in between those more difficult warrior twos and balancing postures, it's almost like a little detour we're getting. So kind of like that child's pose as well. We're kind of just taking a moment to shift our perspective, get a little different blood flow, reconnect to breath, relying on a little bit of gravity, of letting the chest just kind of hang. I'd like you to come into a halfway lift, so plant the fingers to the ground. And I just want you to take some bending from side to side. So kind of like Skandasana, we're going to be warming up into our Skandasana, but just taking some side to side movements. And these can be as lifted or as lowered as you want. If this is a little difficult for you, you might consider placing the forearms on top of the thighs and kind of taking some movement side to side. Eventually, we're going to land all the way down over with a bent left knee. So let those hips drop over to the left. Find that bent left knee. And there's a couple options here. So Deb is pretty flexible. She's going for a pretty deep option. Another option, like I said, is just simply placing the left forearm on top of left thigh and kind of hinging your weight over to that direction. Take a couple breaths here. Try to keep that chest a little bit lifted, or maybe you want to walk the fingertips in front of you and humble down a little bit. Here's your last breath. We're going to turn this into a runner's lunge on the left side. So start to walk your hands over towards the left foot. Point your toes to face the back of your mat now and place your hands down. Here's your runner's lunge. Hands plant, left foot steps back to meet right, plank pose. Breathe in, and with the exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or low cobra, And exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe in and breathe out. 2 more breaths here, in and out. And Deb, if you ever need to take a little water break, just let us know. Go ahead and grab it. It's tough work being the model, you know? It's not all glitz and glamour like a normal model. We got to get our hydration on as well. So if you're out there taking a drink with us, eventually we will return back to our downward facing dog, and our hands are towards the back of our mat, feet are near the front of the mat. So we're doing a full rotation here. Now that you're back in your downward facing dog, let's inhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. And exhale, walk or hop to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rise slowly all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart. Ground down here. Pick up the left toes, flare them, and place them back onto the earth. We're going to pick the right knee up towards the chest, interlace the fingers on shin, and find a standing wind relieving posture. Taking some rotations through right ankle. And then we're going to come back into those warrior 3 and crescent lunge variations. So let's take it pretty slow at first, and then maybe we can speed it up a little bit. Bring your hands to your heart. Keep that right leg lifted. Inhale. Exhale, hinge back to that warrior 3. Keep the right foot flexed and behind you. Inhale. Exhale, crescent lunge, right toes land, arms reach up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, dip. Inhale, right knee to chest. Exhale, warrior 3. Stay for the inhale. Exhale, crescent lunge. Inhale, rise. Exhale, dip. Inhale, right knee to chest. Exhale, warrior 3. Stay for the inhale. Exhale, crescent lunge. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, dip. Here's our last one. Inhale, right knee to chest. Exhale, warrior 3, and hold. So that right foot is behind you. Keep that foot flexed. Maybe the arms decide to start to reach back with the palms facing down. Lift that chest up. Squeeze every part of that flying leg. And your dismount is back into that crescent lunge. Inhale, arms reach up. Find a nice opening through the heart and chest. And exhale, dial right heel down. Open up, warrior 2. Beautiful. Now in your warrior 2, take a moment to set this up. Beautiful. Deb is already ahead of the game. She's bringing her block now to the front of the left toes because we will eventually use that. We want to round it out here. So the back edge of the right foot is pressing away. Both feet are firmly engaged. And there's a contrast effect of a little bit more forward motion through the left foot and a little bit more backward motion through the right foot. Flipping left palm, inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, extend your warrior. 3 more times. Inhale, coming up and out to reverse. Exhale to extend. So we're keeping that upper body fluid as we keep lower body static and engaged. Last full round here to reverse and extend. Inhale, coming back to your warrior 2. Hold here. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, extend your warrior for a moment. Left fingertips come towards left shin. Lengthen through that left leg, but keep a micro bend through the left knee. This is your triangle position. Now again, we're trying to make sure that those hips don't start to send back behind us. So it's very common in your triangle position to try to touch the ground, but see what that does to my hips, right? I want to try to keep myself lifted and level and use those side obliques to keep myself lifted. Deb knows all about the side obliques, right? Last breath here. With the exhale, returning back to your proper warrior 2. So re-bend through that left knee. And we're going to start to set our sights onto our block in front of the left toes. Bring left fingertips towards the block as you reach right leg up towards the sky. Now, technically, we're keeping that flexed right foot in line with the hip. We're not really reaching it past that hip line. We're trying to keep the hips open towards the side of the room. Imagine there's a wall behind you, and the shoulders and hips are evenly pressing into that wall. Beautiful. Last 2 breaths here. Stick with a little bit of challenge and pressure here. With the exhale, landing back to your warrior 2, finding a wide-legged position. So turning the toes in, lengthening through both legs. Inhale, arms open up. And exhale, hinging, wide-legged forward fold. Letting yourself hang here for a couple moments. Shaking of the head, yes and no. Perhaps taking some bending from side to side to warm up for those Skandasana poses. This time our Skandasana is going to be taken on the right side, so we're going to bend through right knee and slowly lower down. Now again, that right forearm can be right on top of right shin, and you can be a little bit more lifted. You can also take something and place it underneath the tush that you're sitting down on a little bit. Taking 2 breaths here, maybe rolling forward or finding a nice long spine, keeping yourself lifted. Transitioning this into your runner's lunge on the right side. So rotating the right toes back to the front, hands plant. Step right foot back to meet left, plank pose. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, hold for 1. Then drop down onto the forearms with the palms open. Now you can always keep those knees to the ground in any sort of plank that we're in. We're going to be here for 10, 9, pull that chest forward just a little bit, 7, 6, 5, press the heels for the back of the room, 3, 2, 1, landing in your Sphinx pose. Let those hips and knees come to the ground. Using the connection of the forearms onto the earth to kind of drag yourself forward to really stretch through those abdominals. Keep that chin tucked so that it's a natural extension of the spine. This should feel just so delicious after that core holding of the plank poses. Beautiful. Slowly lowering your chest all the way to the ground. We're going to find a quad stretch here. So you can bring the left forearm underneath the head as a pillow. Bend right knee and grab onto foot or ankle from the back. Now, while Debamitra is in this version of a quad stretch, I'd like to just show you an alternative version that some people really love, and some body types are like, no, thank you. So take it to your own discretion and really just listen to your body as you do so. So for another version of a quad stretch is coming into a seated position where you're sitting on top of the heels and just slowly starting to walk your hands back. Now this could already be feeling it for you. If you need to go a little deeper, you're going to open up your heels so that your bum actually sits between the heels. Knees are still together. And slowly walking yourself back, maybe even onto the forearms or elbows. Deba, you can go ahead and switch sides. So she's going to exchange her forearms and take that on the left leg. Yes, left leg. Now, if you're in this double, this is a fixed firm pose if you're taking both knees with me at the same time. Now, some people can lay all the way down onto the earth and really find this deep quad stretch, but this is not available for everybody. So just, take it at your own discretion. You might also consider placing a block underneath the tush and then sitting down onto the block. Find your last breath here. And then slowly release out of it. Deb, you can bend both knees and windshield wiper feet from side to side if you like. And if you were in that fixed firm pose, I'd like you to follow it up with the child's pose. So just letting yourself hinge forward. We're going to go ahead and flip ourselves over onto our backs, get a little core work, and then finish off with some nice juicy stretches. So for our core today, we're going to start by just taking a nice full body stretch and really lengthening through the abdominals there. And then we're going to come into some bicycle movements. So we took these yesterday, and I love how Amy cued that we're not letting the knee go past the hip. So we really want the knee to stack above the hip. This makes it a little bit more challenging, believe it or not. We're going to interlace the hands behind the crown. Excuse me, not the crown, more of the back of the head. And splay your elbows out. Bend the right knee so that the knee stacks over right hip. And then start to bring the left side of your elbow over towards inner right knee, and then exchange. So we're kicking the legs, beautiful. And we're trying to keep that 90-degree angle here. Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, I like that quad stretch as well. Some of us have more tight quads. Some of us have a little bit more room to get into some other postures. So we're going to do this for 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. You got this. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and lower back down if you want to take a full body stretch or pull the knees in towards the chest, whichever is calling your name. Now, I purposefully am not taking the abs this morning because Amy got me good yesterday. Beautiful. We'll take one more here. What's your favorite? What's your jam lately, Deb? The ab queen. The scissor? Beautiful. Do you like to bring the hands underneath the bum for that? So what you can do for our next posture, you can bring the palms right underneath the bum on the ground, and then lift the legs to all the way up so that they're stacked above the hips. And then from here, we're just going to alternate the legs. One comes down, one lifts, one comes down, one lifts. Go. We'll do this for about a minute here. And this is a nice kind of low impact one that you don't have to strain your neck for. And you can do this as slow or as fast as you like. And you see how Deb is crossing the paths? That makes it a little bit more challenging. If you want to make it a little bit easier, lift one leg up and then drop the other leg down. So it's less of a crossing and more of a lifting. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and release. Let's find a bound angle here. So release the hands. Bring the soles of the feet together. Knees flop out. That should feel nice here. And additionally, if this is a little too intense, you can always place blocks underneath the knees so that they're not just floating in mid-space. But gravity should be doing some really awesome benefits for you here by using the weight of the legs to splay open in the hips. So that's the best positive of this posture, is kind of using the weight of the body to open up through the hips in a natural way. Let's take a counter pose here by letting the knees come together and then letting the feet splay out to the edges of your mat. So this is a counter posture. This time we're getting more of a stretch on the outer thighs and hips. And we're also getting a really beneficial movement for the lower back. So that lower back, when you bring the knees together like that, is going to press into the earth so that you're completely flat. And then from here, letting the knees come back up to the sky and have the feet stacked below the knees. Beautiful. Taking the right ankle on top of left thigh for a figure 4 pose. And I always like to start a figure 4 by just kind of rocking my legs from side to side a couple times. Arms can be wherever serves you best there. I can't help. I'm definitely going to join in on this one. This is one of my favorite ways to end our class, is a nice hip flexor stretch. If you'd like to get a little bit deeper, you might choose to interlace hands behind left thigh and kind of pull this shape in towards the chest a little more. Another modification that I really like is, well, first off, you want to make sure that your lower back is still on the earth. So you want to make sure that when you kind of pull the knees in towards the chest, that you're not also pulling the lower back up off of the earth. If that is easy and doable for you, you might choose to come to this other modification, which is keeping the left hand behind the thigh and then taking the right palm and kind of pressing the knee away from you, the right knee away from you. So you're getting this contrast of pulling in on the left side and pushing away on the right side. Finding 3 more breaths here. You might just want to relax into it for the last couple breaths. Beautiful. Dropping the left foot back to the ground, opening the arms into a T, and dropping the shape over towards the right. So we're getting a nice spinal twist now. If you don't like the way that that right ankle is stacked on top of left thigh, you can remove it and just find a little bit more of a relaxed spinal twist. Gaze can be in any direction that feels best suited for your neck. Just kind of tuning into the intuition of sensation. So if this doesn't feel good, be intuitive and change it so that it does feel good. If that right ankle is stacked on left thigh, go ahead and remove it. Bring both knees back up to the center. And then take left ankle stacked over right thigh and just start to drop this shape from left to right a couple times. So this is a really great way to kind of prepare the body for this movement, or for this posture rather. Either choosing to stay with this motion or going a little deeper by interlacing hands behind right thigh and pulling the shape in towards the chest. But again, it's very important that that lower back stays on the earth. You don't want it to curl up with you. You want to keep a nice long spine. Even relaxing the muscles of the face here. If you liked that other variation, you might take left palm and kind of start to press the left knee away as you pull right knee in. So finding that little bit of contrast there. Taking it nice and easy for the last 2 breaths to just soften. Eventually bringing right foot back to the ground and dropping the shape over towards the left. Arms can be wherever feels best for you. If you don't like that left ankle on right thigh, you can remove it. Being here for 4 more breaths. Eventually coming back to center and taking any last posture of your choice. So whatever movement is really calling your name, it can simply maybe just be kind of rocking the knees from side to side or pulling the knees in towards the chest. Perhaps a happy baby or whatever. We have a little spider over here doing yoga with us. He's going in the other direction. Eventually we'll come into our final resting pose as your body welcomes it. Let that big wave of breath come back over you. Again, start to connect to the grounding down. Come back to this image of your oasis. Before this quarantine happened, I had this moment of inspiration. We were watching some sort of National Geographic video about the African desert. And in this documentary, they talked about how important the watering hole is for the environment, for the creatures, animals. And that at this watering hole, there's this unwritten rule of equality, and that all the animals just kind of respect each other at the watering hole. It doesn't matter if you're a lion or an antelope or a bird. This watering hole is the oasis within this desert. And it hit me that Mystic Fitness is like our little watering hole. This place where we can all join together, no matter what title you have at your job or how much money you have in your bank account, what you look like, or what your status is. None of that matters when you walk into these doors. We all show ourselves and others the same amount of respect. And what I've learned throughout the last couple weeks is that this watering hole, this oasis, is not just this physical studio. It's the community that we have. And our biggest duty here as human beings, being a part of this society, is to love and show every living creature respect and dignity. So as you imagine yourself in this oasis of your own, let's remember this. Biggest duty is to love. And taking a deep breath in, and letting it go. Again, inhale. And exhale. Slowly let your awareness come back into this physical body. Wiggling the toes and fingers. Taking the next 3 or so breaths to slowly bring yourself back into your seat to close the practice together. arguably the hardest part of our practice is getting up out of a shavasana. Once you've arrived, bringing your hands over heart or bringing the palms together in prayer. How comforting is it to know that this little safe sanctuary resides within us? And it's our duty to spread all of the love we can. And respect. And we'll seal our practice in with the sound of Om, taking a cleansing breath to prepare. Inhale. And exhale. And for Om, inhale. Thank you all so much for joining me and Deba for another Sunday morning flow. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for Kelly's Power Series. That's our Monday class usually. And then on Friday we have Deba coming back for another Barkin class. So thank you guys so much. If you need anything, please let us know. You know how to get in contact with us. And see you tomorrow. Namaste.